Very good morning, everyone. I, Dr. Sanket Cherkha, welcome you for today's lecture on international business economics. In the earlier of the previous sessions, we have seen about with respect to the trade agreements and introduction to the international business economics. What are the various factors? What are the various components with respect to the international trade? How international trade is being undertaken? And with respect to the international business economics, we have seen the concept of instruments in the trade policies. So what are the various instruments with respect to the trade policies? How does it impact your international business, and what are its pros and cons along with its impact on the Indian economy as well as on the global economy? So with respect to the policy implications that have been framed by the government, that also perspectives we have seen in detail. Now, the implications of the international business economics with respect to the development of organizations, development of economies from 19th century, 20th century, and today in 21st century also. We have seen in the last lecture with respect to the origin and formation of GATT, that is General Agreement on Trade and Tariff, then the development of WTO, that is World Trade Organization, since 1994 and 1995. Then we have seen there is various rounds of WTO discussion with respect to the Uruguay round and the Doha round of conferences. Then we have seen what are the various issues that have been related with WTO and what are the various points of discussion that have been taken and the trade barriers that has coming into picture. Now today, in today's lecture, we are going to deal with and we are going to study about the free trade zone. So what is a free trade zone? We'll see this particular lecture or this particular chapter in detail. Now, coming back with the first concept of understanding what is a free trade area. Now, at this point of time, what happened whenever we have seen a particular transaction or a particular production or manufacturing is been undertaken, what happened at every stage or at every point of time, the government is providing you a certain feasibility, a certain conducive environment in which a particular trade or transaction can be conducted effectively and freely. So a group of countries that have few or no price control in the form of tariffs or quotas between each other. So at this point of time, what we can understand, there is a certain concern wherein either the group of countries or a certain country gives you a certain environment for an industry or a certain sector to produce the certain goods and services. Now, these particular goods and services that have been produced in a certain area or in a certain location at that particular point of time, the goods are not taxable. So it is called as a free trade agreement or a free trade area. Now, in the sense, now in this particular current example, what we are looking for, the free trade area, its development. So one of the most well-known and largest free trade area that was created since 1994 from January 1st was of the NAFTA. Now, NAFTA is a particular association or an organization wherein it is called as a North American Free Trade Agreement. So, North American Free Trade Agreement is an agreement between the North American states. So, all the North American states, or to be say specific, North American countries have come together and they have formed an agreement between themselves. So, this agreement is between Canada, United States, and the state of Mexico. So, the North American countries came together and they formed their respective group or a certain cartel wherein they have signed an agreement to conduct a free trade activity. Free trade activity is that particular concern. Now, for example, when we were dealing with the international trade theory of David Ricardo. Now, what Ricardo was saying that based on the comparative advantage of a particular product, the goods and services can be imported and exported, and the transaction of international business or trade can be undertaken. Furthermore, Heckler Rollin has said that there is a free trade agreement between the countries, and each and every country is having a certain feasibility or a freedom to export their goods and services or manufacture and import the goods and services as per their need, requirement, and demand in the market. So, taking that particular perspective ahead, what happened? The North American states came forward and they have signed an agreement between themselves. So, Canada, United States, and Mexico came forward and they signed an agreement between themselves to conduct the trade activities between themselves. So, any trade activity, any import or any export that has been conducted either between Canada, United States, and Mexico, it will not be taxed. So it is always a tariff free or a tax free agreement. So in this way, a free trade area is a particular concern wherein if you're conducting a certain business activity between these three states or between these three countries, there will be liberalized rules and regulation. The rules and regulations will not be set at a very higher rate and it will be conducted as a free trade agreement. So in this way, the free trade area came into picture and several zones has been developed and designed. Free trade zones are also known as special economic zones in some countries. So SEZ, you must have heard a certain concept or a certain terminology called as an SEZ. So coming with the perspectives of the Indian origin or the Indian economy also, we have a certain perspectives and establishment of SE zones in Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Noida, that is north coastal region of Delhi, and so on. So here at this particular perspective, SE zone has been established in many countries in the testing grounds for the implementation of liberal market economic principles. So it has been at a certain phase that in the scenario of 1990s and 2000 onwards, there was a certain scenario that people were not successful. The countries was not aware of whether the free trade area or the special economic zones will be successful or not. So on a trial and error basis, certain zones were established, and it was been found, or a certain test trial and error method was been conducted to find out what products or what output can be generated out of SEZs. So what it has been found that the liberal market economic principle has been set. SEZs are viewed as an instrument to enhance the acceptability and credibility of the transforming policies and to attract the domestic as well as the foreign investment. So in order to attract or in order to improve the domestic investment as well as the foreign investment, the concept of free trade zone came forward and people started to invest. So how does the investment attraction came into this particular picture? Now, for example, there is a particular organization or a particular company called as an XYZ. Now, when XYZ organization is given a certain freedom that if you produce a certain goods and services in this particular coastal region or in this particular SEZ region, then you will be getting a redemption or a benefit of tax rate at 50%. Now, if earlier in considering this example, if your tax amount that is needed to be paid is, for example, 100 crores, and if you get a concession of producing or manufacturing a goods which reduces your tax liability by 50 crores, then definitely and specifically you will prefer to manufacture or produce the goods and services in the SEZ itself. So in this way, what happened? The industries or a certain conception or a certain perception was taken into consideration, wherein the boosting for the industrial market, the boosting for the manufacturing and production with respect to the specific focus of the domestic investment as well as the foreign investment was being provided. Same point of time, if a particular area has been found out as an underdeveloped area or a non-developed area, then at that particular perspective, in order to develop those areas, in order to create a balanced growth of environment, balanced growth of production, balanced growth of state of economy, for this particular concern also, the SEZs was established. Now, looking at the picture or the current scenario of NAFTA, that is North American Free Trade Agreement. In this particular scenario, you can see the different countries, different states have come together, they have come forward and they have formed their NAFTA, that is an agreement between these particular nations. So when all the particular entire continent of North America has been declared as a free trade zone, so any transaction, any trade activity, any commercial activity that has been conducted between these areas or between these particular states, it is free of or it is duty free and it is tax free. So government is providing you a certain concessions, certain norms, certain liberalized policies with respect to which you can conduct the trade activities very freely and fluently. So different states you can see at this particular picture wherein the North American Free Trade Agreement can be classified and explained or understood. Next thing, the history and development of NAFTA, that is NAFTA or Free Trade Zone. The first free trade world's first free trade zone was established in Shamnon Island, and it was called as an Shamnon Free Zone. So this was an attempt by the Irish government to promote employment within a rural area with which they can make a use of small regional airport and generate the revenue for the Irish economy. So a registered free trade zone or a registered first economic zone was in Ireland, which was called as an Shamnon Economic Zone. Now, in this way, what happened? It was been established specifically in a rural area so that the rural area of the island can be developed and the conducive environment for development of the economy at a larger scale can also be provided simultaneously. It was hugely successful and it is still in operations today also. So whenever it has been established in the late 20th century, that is the first authorization was whenever they got the approval from the World Economy or the WTO or the GATT, then since its inception, it has been found out that the operations is quite successful and it is producing a huge productivity and provided a boosting to the economy also. The number of later on, what happened? The number of worldwide free trade zones was proliferated in the 20th century, and currently in United States, we are finding that there are maximum number of free trade zones that have been authorized since 1934 onwards. Now, this is not a certain term wherein you can get a confusion between the EPZ, that is export processing zone, or a SEZ or a FTZ, that is a foreign trade zone. So every concept, every perspective is different in their origin. Now, export processing zone is a particular concern wherein you are provided, you are giving a certain feasibility wherein you are producing or manufacturing a goods and services for only export processing only. So any goods and services that are exported outside the country, for processing those goods and services, for processing those material, for processing those manufacturing produce, what you do, you process a certain output, you process a certain goods and services, and only processing activity is been conducted at EPZ, that is export processing zone. But in terms of your free trade zone, it is not that particular perspective. In a particular free trade zone, you actually conduct a manufacturing activity, production activity, and the goods have been developed right from raw material to the finished production. So in this way, there is a major differentiation between an export processing zone and a free trade zone. Now, export processing zone is a particular secondary perspective wherein manufacturing goods or manufactured automatically finished product can later on be transferred or given to export processing zone. Further processing on the goods that have been manufactured in FTZ can be done, and then onwards the goods can be exported. So at this point of time, we can understand FTZ, that is free trade zone, is primary, whereas EPZ, that is export processing zone, is secondary. So since 1997, we can see 93 countries have set up different export processing zones, which is employing around 22.5 million people. And 5 years later, in 2003, EPZ in 116 countries, that is 116 countries, has employed for around 43 million people. So here you can see the employment opportunity that has been created, and simultaneously the amount of investment can also be imagined. So in this way, what happened? The benefit or the output, the productivity from FTZ, that is free trade zone, is also quite positive and increasing, whereas from the export processing zone, that is EPZ, is also quite positive and increasing. So it is ultimately benefiting the world economy and the domestic economy at simultaneous basis. So hand in hand, both the processes are going simultaneously, and it is benefiting the organizations and the economy at a larger scale. Now an example of Arshia International Limited. I've given a certain case study or a small example for you. So India's first free trade zone and the warehousing zone, it is called as an Arshia International Limited, the largest multi-product free trade and warehousing infrastructure in India, wherein Arshia's first 165-acre free trade warehousing zone is operating in Panvel, Mumbai. So it is in the state of Maharashtra, located at Panvel, Mumbai in India. And it is to be followed by one in Khurja near Delhi. So the first was of Arshia International, a company which was in Panvel, and the second one was followed by Khurja, which is nearby to Delhi. Arshia Mega Logistic Hub is at Khurja, and they have around 135-acre foreign free trade warehousing zone, which comprises of around 130-acre industrial and warehousing zone in central, south, and east of India. So they have various different zones also, wherein it has been established or set up the respective plants with respect to the central India, south India, and east India locations also. So the first company that has come forward to establish the Arshia International and Free Trade Zone was established in Panvel and registered with an area of around 165 acres. Followed with, they have established their second plant in Khurja, which is nearby to Delhi, and followed with respect to their logistics perspective, they have established their respective another warehouse outlets in central, south, and east of India also. The next perspective comes is with the Cochin Special Economic Zone, and it is called as an SEZ in Cochin in the state of Kerala, that is southwest of India. They have set up their export-oriented zone, and it has been successfully running since many years. So at this point of time, the zone is directly run by the government of India, and it is called as an government approved or government owned SEZ. So Cochin SEZ is a multi-product zone wherein different types of products and services are being processed and manufactured and developed and further processed for the export purpose. Now, it is located in southwest of India, just around 11 nautical miles of the international sea route from Europe to the Pacific Ring. So it is quite comfortable, wherein you can export those goods and services that have been manufactured from the southwest part of India to the international market of Europe, international market with respect to the Pacific area, and directly connected with the Dubai ports also, which is directly linking the Arabian or the Saudi Arabian or the Gulf markets also. So with the help of sailing through the seas, it has been connected with the Southeast Asian countries also. So at this point of time, we have seen the two case studies with respect to the Arshia International, the first free trade zone that was been established in India, and the special economic zone at Cochin, which is called as a government-owned zone respectively. Now, next coming perspectives with respect to the free trade zone with respect to the foreign trade. Now, a foreign trade free trade zone is a designated location in the United States where the companies can use special procedures that can help encourage the US activity and its value addition in competitive with respect to the foreign alternatives that are made available. So, at US level, that is United States level also, different SEZ or FTZ or SEZ are also been established, and the free trade zone activities are also been conducted simultaneously as per the need and requirement and availability of resources. So a site which has been granted zone status, it is not been used for a zone activity until the site has been separately approved for the FTZ. So whenever if any site site or a particular land or a particular area, it has been approved as an FTZ or an ECZ, EPZ or an SEZ. So unless and until you approve it or grant it as a certain status of free trade zone, you cannot conduct the business activities and you have to take the permissions with the respective government authorities that are into existence. So US Local Customs and Border Protection, that is CPB, officials and the zone activity remains under the supervision of CBP. So in this way, with respect to the US states, you have to take the approval and permissions from the respective government authorities, and unless and either the local, the state or the federal government gives you certain approval, you cannot start and conduct your business activities accordingly. Now, the SEZ or the FTZ or a free trade zone or an economic zone, it can be conducted at, or it can be located nearby to the airports, it can be located nearby to the seashores, or it can be located nearby to your requirement, wherever you can find the conducive environment. So, with respect to the availability of raw material, with respect to the availability of components of the raw material or the factors of production, with respect to the semi-assemblies or the semi-finished goods, wherein you can process those particular goods and services, or whether the assembly of the goods and services can be undertaken at every point of time as per the need and requirement. Your SEZ, that is special economic zone, or a free trade zone, or a EPZ, it can be established, and the business activities or the processing activities can be undertaken accordingly. So in this way, we can see that the foreign trade authorities, that is the FTZ, they can form their respective boards and the respective members can be appointed, and accordingly the goods can be exported and the approval can be given for the respective organizations to approve or establish the respective SEZ or FTZ. In terms of US, the CBP is having a certain authority or a certain official office wherein they can give you certain approvals with respect to the establishment of this particular concern, and accordingly the zones can be established and undertaken. Now, the different SEZs or the facilitating advantages with respect to the SEZ or the FTZ or EPZ you can find in this particular picture. Now, what EPZ or FTZ is giving you, it is allowing you an in-depth value addition processing in the terms of your assembling, packaging, and manufacturing. So, what are the various activities that you can see that can be conducted in a free trade zone or an FTZ? So, the activity that can be conducted in a free trade zone, it may be either related to the assembling perspectives, either the packaging perspectives, or with respect to the manufacturing perspectives also. So, all types of manufacturing, processing, or production activities can be conducted in an FTZ. Another benefit or advantage with respect to FTZ is relaxing the higher ratio for foreign workers, that is with respect to the 40% of the total workforce. So it is giving a certain consideration or thrust or benefit with respect to the workers that have been employment. So employment ratio simultaneously or gradually increases, wherein you are providing a certain employment opportunities for production, manufacturing, processing, and distribution of goods and services that are being conducted in an SEZ or an EPZ. The duty and tax exemption, yes, positively, the major basic motive or essential purpose for establishing a free trade zone was specifically to provide the duty, taxes, and exemptions with respect to the amount that you are paying to a certain government. So in order to reduce the tax burden, in order to maintain the balance between the tariff rate, so what happened? The government has given a certain perceptions or a certain feasibility transactions with respect to the exemptions of tax concerns also. So your custom duty, your commodity tax, your sales tax, your INVAT, your VAT, your sales tax, your GST, and so on. So a certain perception, a certain feasibility has been provided with respect to the reduction in the tax rates also. So if any goods and services have been produced or manufactured or processed in EPZ or a FTZ or an SEZ, so at this point of time, you get a certain concession with respect to the taxation policy, and you have to pay some less amount of tax to the government. Another benefit or advantage with respect to the FTZ, that is free trade zone, is facilitating the business activities which have been streaming. So whatever the various business activities that have been streaming or have been undertaken in this particular area, it is providing a certain conducive environment with respect to the facilitation of all services and factors of production. So any goods and services, any feasibility that you need with respect to the either land, labor, capital, enterprise, or resources perspective, the government is giving you a certain facility with respect to the availability of all factors of production and conducting the business activities efficiently and fluently. Next thing, easing of the financial operations. So with respect to the availability of finances, what happened? The government is looking at a certain perspectives, or the state is looking at a certain perspective, wherein if a certain amount of money or a certain funds have been required, so at this particular point of time, the government is providing you the amount of resources. The banks are giving you certain supports. The financial institutions that are into existence, they are also ready to provide a certain facilities of loan for you, and a certain output that can be generated can be later on paid in terms of your EMIs also. So in this way, the establishment of financial operations, the support in respect to the banks and the financial institutions is also quite positive and supportive for establishment of free trade activity that have been conducted in your free trade zone or the SEZ or the EPZ. Next thing, the nationwide approach with respect to the customs, duties, taxes that have been into existence. So with respect to the activities of your export transactions, you can see that the goods and services that have been manufactured in EPZ or a free trade zone, there is a certain feasibility with respect to the customs, the duties, the taxes that you have to pay, and the inspection of the various goods and services from the customs authorities. So whatever the approval that you need from the custom authorities for either the importing or exporting the goods and services, a certain feasibility liberalization has been provided, and the goods and services can be supplied and manufactured and processed or sold in the domestic market also, and as well as at the international markets also. Now, coming with the free trade zones in India. So earlier we have seen with respect to the US economy, now coming with the free trade zones in Indian economy. Establishment of free trade zone is an important aspect with respect to the Kandla free trade zone and the Santa Cruz free trade zone. So these are the various large scale free trade zone with respect to the Maharashtra region, and we are going to see now the two economic zones or the free trade zones that have been established in India level. The Santa Cruz Free Trade Zone at Bombay is mainly for the firm in electronic area, and in this zone, various facilities are provided by the government for export production in the form of the development of land, water, electricity, and transports and taxes perspective. So in this way, the Santa Cruz Free Trade Zone is a particular area which has been located nearby to Bombay, that is Mumbai, in the state of Maharashtra at India, and it is providing all the facilities, various facilities with respect to the requirement of land, labor, capital, enterprise, electricity, transportation, taxes perspective. So all the facilities, all the environment, all the supports, all the climatic conditions, all the goods and services support, whatever it is been required with respect to the support from the government perspective, support from the natural factors, support from the institutional factors, all the support of facilities factors have been provided, and it has been seen that the Santa Cruz Free Trade Zone is quite conducive and supportive, and it is providing a certain facilities for manufacturing of goods and services for the specific concern. Now, the specific concern of Santa Cruz Free Trade Zone, it specifically focuses on the manufacturing and processing of the electronic goods and services. So with respect to your area, with respect to the industry, with respect to the sector also, you can establish the specific free trade zone or the economic zones accordingly. The supplies can be obtained in these zones for the future production without the payment of excise duty or the import duty. So importation is possible without prior licensing. However, it is obligatory on the firms to export their 100% production. Now, if you the basic feature of the Santa Cruz Free Trade Zone is, if you want to import certain goods and services for your manufacturing perspective, so at this point of time, your import duty is an exempt perspective. So you don't have to pay additional excise duty or import duty on importing of the goods and services which you are using for the production. Now, whatever the production that you are making that you are making or doing in the Santa Cruz Free Trade Zone, it is an obligatory, or it is a certain mandate with respect to your free trade zone with respect to your export of goods and services. So whatever the processing, whatever the manufacturing, whatever the production is been conducted in this particular Santa Cruz Free Trade Zone, you have to export entire production, entire manufacturing up to 100% production. So entire production, entire goods and services that have been manufactured in Santa Cruz Free Trade Zone has to be compulsorily exported. Then only the purpose, the motive, or the reason for establishment of this particular Santa Cruz Free Trade Zone can be fulfilled, and the goods and services can be exported at the national level or the international level. Now, in this particular picture, you can see the different free trade zones that have been divided as per the need, requirement, and the zonal factors. So you can see in the left-hand side with respect to the NAFTA, that is the green area, the CAIS, that is Central American Institutional Services, with respect to the dark blue area, and the red area with respect to the South America. So UNASUR, their name has been established. With respect to the blue area, that is the dark blue, is with respect to the European Union, the AU with respect to the African Union, the green zone with respect to the Gulf area, the brownish area or the area with respect to the Indian continent. You can see the SCO, that is with respect to the Chinese area, and the ASEAN area with respect to the red color area, and lastly the Australian area. So in this way, different countries have come together, they have formed the respective groups, and accordingly the free trade zone has been conducted. So any activity, every trade, every activity, every manufacturing activity that has been conducted between the respective areas with respective region with respect to the specific color is free trade economy, and there is no additional duty or customs that are being charged for the either imports or export of goods and services within those member nations. So for this particular concern, you have to be a member nation, and only then the benefit can be provided for you to supply, manufacture, and deliver the goods and services. The benefits of the free trade zone users. So what are the benefits for the users who are the members of the free trade areas? Number one, the first thing that is, it is the major benefit that you can see is of the duty exemption. So no duty or no quota charges are on re-export of goods and services. So if you are importing any goods and services and you are producing or manufacturing that particular produce, and afterwards whenever if it is been sold out in the open market, so at this point of time, no duty or no additional customs or no additional tax or no additional tariff is being charged either by the state government or either by the central government. Duty deferral, custom duties and federal excise taxes are deferred on imports. So any custom duties or any federal excise with respect to the US government, it is not being charged and it is being deferred payment tax perspective. So no additional duty or no additional exemption can be provided for production or manufacturing or supply of goods and services from your export economic zone or a free trade zone. Inverted tariff, in situations where zone production results in a finished product that has a lower duty rate than the rate on a foreign inputs. So the finished product may be entered at a duty rate that applies to a condition and levies the zone as per the requires of the prior authorization. So inverted tariff is that particular perspective wherein if your finished product has been manufactured and it has been produced, and whenever importing or exporting these particular goods and services that has been of a nature of a finished product, and that particular rate or that particular product that has been manufactured and it has been exported to the several countries, that particular product will also be exempted from the duties and customs perspectives also. So either for the processing also or either for the finished goods products also, your goods will be duty free or tax free. Next perspective is with respect to the logistical benefits. So companies using FTZ, that is free trade zone procedures, may have to access the streamlined customs with respect to the procedures. So they have to make a proper record and keep a record or a certain documentation with respect to the weekly entry or direct delivery. So whatever the goods and services that you are receiving, what are the imports that has been made of either the raw material or the processing goods, and what are the goods and services that have been exported. So proper documentation with respect to the input and output of the goods and services, entry and exit of the firm, entry and exit of the goods and services also needed to be maintained at simultaneous level. So either the record can be maintained on a weekly basis, monthly basis, annually basis, or quarterly basis, or you can maintain the record with respect to the delivery basis also. So whenever you receive a certain delivery of goods and services, and whenever it has been exported or the delivery is been given to the respective vendor or the supplier or the importing country, that particular point of time also the record can be maintained based on your delivery perspectives also. Another benefits are with respect to the foreign goods and domestic goods help to export the goods and services which is available at the state or the local inventory taxes. So whatever the taxes that have been applicable at the state level or the local level, you can get an exemption with that particular perspectives also. The free trade zone status may also make a site eligible for the state or local benefits which are unrelated to the FTZ. So with respect to this particular concern, what happen if your free trade zone has been established, you get a national perspectives and the identification at the national level or the global level can be made simultaneously. So at this way, the benefit of your goods and services for respective company for manufacturing processing can be availed and obtained simultaneously. No duties or no quotas or charges on re-export. So anything that you are exporting or re-exporting on that particular re-export perspective also, no additional duties or customs or charges will be charged by the either the state government or either by the central government. The custom duties and federal excise duties are also deferred, which we have already seen in detail. And in various economic zones, we can see there is a concept of an inverted tariff also. So foreign input goods and services are also not relative perspectives at this particular point of time. The benefit to the public. So how does the general public or the common or the people who are availing these goods and services gets benefit out of it? The first thing, it helped to facilitate and expedite the international trade. So at this point of time, what happened whenever a particular free trade zone is been established in your area, the public is the ultimately public is getting benefited with respect to the international trade transactions. So whatever the goods and services that have been manufactured or produced in your local area, it gets exported and that particular export value gets a certain recognition at the international trade transactions. So your company, your organization, your area gets a certain recognition at the international level and global level. It provides special custom procedure as a public service to help firms conduct the international trade, which is related with the operations and competitions with the foreign clients. So a proper competition, a proper environment has been created wherein your services have been provided to the general public, wherein your goods become competitive, your goods become available in the international market, and you get a certain consideration wherein the goods can be traded in the international market and the operations are quite competitive with respect to the foreign competitors also. It encourages and facilitates the export of goods and services. So if a particular area has been declared as a free trade zone or a special economic zone, then ultimately what gets benefited is whenever you are exporting these certain goods and services, you are getting an additional benefit with respect to the taxation perspectives of the payment of customs, duties, excise, and so on. So at this point of time, you need not have to pay additional taxes and the taxes have been exempted automatically. So at this particular point of time, you don't have to pay additional taxes and your export gets promoted and you export the goods and services at a very larger scale. It helped to attract the offshore activity and encourage the retention of your domestic activity. So offshore activity in the sense you can attract the foreign investors or the Western investors at the same point of time. So if there is a particular investor is not available at your local level, then you can invite the international investors, foreign investors. And if a particular investor comes to your region, then there is an input of the respective foreign currency or the investment of in terms of your FDI or FII into perspective into your economy also. It helps to assist the state or the local economic for the development of efforts also. So your local economy or the state economy also gets benefited simultaneously with respect to the increase in the GDP of your national economy. So simultaneously, if your GDP, that is your balance of payment, it has been increasing, it helps to reduce your deficit or surplus of your current account and capital accounts perspectives also. So simultaneously, your state, your local government, your economic government, your national economy, everyone is getting benefited out of it. It helps to create the employment opportunities. So major benefit that you can see to the general public is if your particular economic zone has been established in your origin or in a particular area, then it automatically creates the employment opportunities. So the preference for economic zone or a preference for the local employment generation or local employment creation has been provided, and the employment has been created at a very larger scale. So wherever you see, for example, if the special economic zone is being created in the area of Ahmedabad, Gujarat, South Santa Cruz, Bandra Kurla, that is by nearby to Mumbai, the Panvel, the JNPT, that is Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust, the areas of Kochi, the areas of Chennai, Bangalore, West Bengal, that is the regions of West Bengal of the port region at Calcutta, the regions in Noida, that is NCR region of Delhi, the Uttar Pradesh region, and so on. So at this particular point of time, wherever the special economic zone have been established, the employment opportunities are created at a very larger scale, and people are getting employed in a good position or at a very higher rate. Now, activities that have been conducted in SEZ or EPZ or FTZ. So merchandise in a zone may be assembled, exhibited, cleaned, manipulated, manufactured, mixed, processed, relabeled, repacked, repaired, salvaged, sampled, stored, tested, displayed, and destroyed. So at this particular point of time, various activities with respect to the FTZ can be conducted. You can see the list goes on and on. So there are several number of activities that can be conducted on a particular product, and based on this particular, there are several activities, the product becomes more competitive, the product becomes more qualitative, and in this way we can export our goods and services at a very larger scale and at a very higher scale. So in this way, several activities with respect to assembling. So if a particular product needs to be manufactured, you can assemble the respective product, and the particular product can be assembled by the various combination of all the raw material that is being available. Exhibited, wherein if a particular product needs to be exhibited at a certain national level or a global level, then you can exhibit that particular product, you can test that particular product, you can display that particular product, and the exhibition can be done accordingly. Cleaning of product, with respect to the availability of land, labor, water resources, the product can be cleaned, the product can be polished, and according to the need and requirement of the customers, according to the need and requirement in the market perspective at the international level, you can clean the product, and ultimately the product can be polished as per the requirements. Manipulation, if any revision in the product has been required, then accordingly the products can be manipulated. The several amendments or the several changes in the size, structure, design of the particular product can be done. Accordingly, the products can be done. Manufacturing, actual manufacturing processing activity can be undertaken at this particular point of time, and the goods can be processed. Mixing, if any certain goods and services are needed to be mixed, then accordingly the mixture activities can be conducted and the goods can be produced or manufactured. Processing, if any additional processing activity on the goods and services is needed to be required, then the same activity can also be conducted in your FTZ, that is free trade zone. With respect to the relabeling, repackaging, repairing, salvaging, that is the stock or the particular waste material that you can receive is called as a salvage. Sampling, so if you want to test a certain sample, if you want to test a certain goods and services with a certain trial and error basis, then sampling also can be conducted. Storaging, with respect to the storage of at the warehouse or the distributors or the suppliers, with respect to the testing perspective, that is if you want to provide free samples of free goods and services for the people to test that particular product, then the testing in the laboratories or testing in the open market or general market can also be conducted. And lastly, displaying and destroying. So if any particular store has needed to be established, then the display of the goods can also be maintained. And lastly, if a particular good is needed to be destroyed, then accordingly the goods can be destroyed in the FTZ, that is a free trade zone, or an EPZ or an SEZ also. Production activity can be conducted simultaneously, and several activities with respect to the production can be conducted in an FTZ, that is a free trade zone also. There is another perspective called as a retail trade, in which it is being specifically prohibited. And at this particular point of time, if you want to conduct a retail trade, so at this point of time, the FTZ is not allowed to conduct the retail trade transactions. So, for example, if you approach the Santa Cruz free trade zone and if you ask for a retail purchase, then this particular feasibility or particular option is not provided. So, this particular now in a particular activity or a transaction of a free trade zone, it is always specific for a wholesale purchase. So if you want to purchase the bulk quantity, that is 100 quantity, 100 ton, 1000 ton, 1000 goods, 10,000 goods and services, then only the purchase can be done. But the single quantity, there is one quantity, two quantity, five quantity, cannot be purchased in an FTZ, that is a free trade zone. So the retail trade facility is not provided in FTZ, and only wholesale purchases can be done in an FTZ. Merchandise in a zone. So any merchandise that is not prohibited from entry into the territory of the US may be admitted to a zone. So with respect to the US government, you can see that the merchandise purchase is not allowed. So at this particular concern or point of time, what you can understand that the merchandise in a particular zone is not at all prohibited, or it is not at all allowed. So at this particular point of time, only the purchases of an wholesale nature can be allowed and can be permitted, and other purchases are not allowed in a free trade zone. The zones can be now where the particular zones can be located in terms of US economy. So the zone sites must be adjacent to a US customs and authority, and wherever the government gives you certain permission. Now these particular examples I have given you with respect to the US economy. So with respect to the permission that is given by the US Customs and Border Protection, only those authorities, only those particular areas can be declared and used as a FTZ authorities or a FTZ zone. The zone or the subzone site is a site within limits of a CBP port or entry. So any port area, any authority, any location which is nearby to the CBP authority, only those zones can be availed and adopted, and that particular zones can be manufactured and processing those particular goods and services. So with respect to the areas also, that is the 90 minutes duration or the 60 miles that is made available, only those areas can be used as an FTZ perspectives, where the particular zones can be existing. So around 250 general purpose zones are existing in the US economy, and the legal authorities and requirements are needed to be provided with respect to the approval from the government of FTZ area of the CBP zone. So with respect to the 1934 Act, the US is giving a certain approvals to the respective boards, to respective authorities, and the licensing and regulation of all these particular activities is been done respectively by the CBP and the customs authorities and the zonal authorities. So now the development of the respective zonal areas with respect to the trade agreements at the different regional level and national level. So the pink perspectives you can look is with respect to the economic free trade zones areas, the green zone with respect to the European Economic Zone, the free trade zone areas of the blue color, and the orange color with respect to the negotiation or discussion area. So in this particular area, still there is a negotiation perspective wherein the government takes a certain decision about the establishment of the goods and services, establishment of the areas, establishment of the permission and approval of the free trade zone that are into existence, and accordingly the permission has been given, and the permission has been provided for the conduction of the business activities. Now here simultaneously what we have to see, simultaneously the permission of the government authorities, the conducive environment with respect to the nature, climatic conditions also needed to be provided, and accordingly the goods and services can be manufactured and processed and produced. Now coming with the perspectives of the India, I'll give you an overview with respect to the special economic zones that have been set into established. Now there is a certain quarrel, or there is a certain concession or certain cause that has been raised by a certain general public with respect to the establishment of a special economic zone or a export processing zone with respect to Maharashtra. Now, when we are coming with the case study of Maharashtra, you can find out there are certain projects that have been established in terms of your nuclear power plant project. Now, if you want to establish a certain power plant project with respect to the nuclear energy, the people of the Maharashtra were agitating for establishing certain type of power plant wherein the processing, the manufacturing, and distribution of the electricity was of a certain risk factor. Now, if a certain nuclear power plant has needed to be established, what was the benefit out of it? The benefit was was a certain level or a certain region that the electricity that will be produced from a nuclear power plant was going to provide a certain benefit to the Indian economy, and as well as the simultaneously Southeast Asian also, and to the Arabian economy or these Gulf countries also. So if this particular economy or the particular land has been produced, so at this particular point of time, what happened? At this particular point of time, what happened? There is a certain concern or concern with respect to the approval and permission given by the government authorities with respect to the availability of land, labor, capital, enterprise, and resources of the factors of production. So if all these particular factors of production has been provided, the people were agitating with respect to the environmental conditions. So if a particular manufacturing or processing activity is conducted at the regular level, which may harm the natural habitat, it may harm the natural resources, it may harm the environmental factors, and in this way, the people started to agitate the power plant that has been established of the nuclear power concern. So in this way, the proper conducive environment should be taken. The local environment, the local government, the local people, the local authorities are needed to be taken into consideration, and only if the supportive environment, if only the support from the local people it has been obtained, then only the manufacturing and processing activities are needed to be undertaken. Unless until the approval from all the government authorities, unless until the people are agree to establish this particular zone, until that the processing should not be conducted, the manufacturing should not be conducted, and the goods and services should not be produced and supplied accordingly as per the need and requirement of this concern. So in this way, we come to the end of the today's session with respect to the free trade zone. Thank you so much for joining of this particular session. If you have any difficulties or doubts, you can post your questions in the chat box. I'll be able to answer the questions respectively. Thank you so much for joining. Good day.